And welcome to another episode of The Focal Thought. My guest today is Anca Uni. How are you, Anca?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good, doing good. Thanks for coming on the show. And Anca, you actually empower souls through mastery. You are a healer, a transformation coach, a hypnotherapist, and a spiritual advisor as well. So I'm excited to speak with you today. My first question to you is, what is your definition of the soul?
First, I would like to thank you for the invite on the show. I really appreciate what you're doing.
My
And
pleasure.
let's answer the question. My definition of the soul. Interesting. To me, the soul is that pure part of us that that is kind, that is loving, that wants to help, and that has a mission here, right? To grow and help other people.
And we're born into this world where we're human beings, body and flesh. And they say we come from the soul. There's many stories of souls that actually choose, the body that they want to come into. Very many traditions believe that. We're born into our ego state, right? Which is a state that
Hmm.
is, which is very good for the earth, that we live in. It helps us, go out and do things, but then it sort of, as a contrast, suppresses the soul, right? So, any thoughts on why, when we are born, we might be disconnected from the soul? Or maybe not disconnected, because I guess it's always within us, right? But maybe not able to align ourselves with our soul.
Yeah, I think it's part of the journey, right? Because as you said, initially we are operating from the ego, and later on, um, we incorporate more and more the soul, and eventually, hopefully, we will operate from the soul, right? But how do I say it? It's an illusion that you have to operate from the ego to achieve, right? To go out in the world and achieve your goals and everything that you need in life. Everything can be done from the soul, because when you're going out, knowing your mission and operating from a place of kindness, of love, of understanding, of everyone, it's a reflection of you, and we are all one, then I think you can make a bigger impact in the world.
Any thoughts or tips or advice on how to find your soul, how to realign with it, or to remember it?
Yes. See, unfortunately, people find their souls, and I'm one of them, right? When you are really hurting and you have no other choice, right, than to look inside and really understand who you are and what is your mission on this planet. There are few people that are proactive, and yeah, there are lots of podcasts like this one, or books, right, or authors that can help you. From my experience, it comes from heart. And why is that? Because that's when you are really, really determined to make the change. When you cannot operate in that manner and you're like, okay, you know what, let me sit down and
Mhm.
find my purpose and find why I'm here.
Would you say that's the opposite to operating from the ego when you operate from the heart?
See, I have now a different understanding of the ego and the heart, right? I personally operate from the heart. When I used to operate from the ego, I was super disconnected with the heart and it didn't feel well, right? So you will know, I guess your question is, if you know when you're operating from the ego and when you're operating from the heart.
Correct, yeah. Because ego, I think, is more mental, right? It's in your head and
Yeah.
it's very biased, but heart, it's more emotional. They talk about, I think, the Heart Math Institute and Greg Braden, and there's a whole philosophy on the heart being, maybe a third brain, right? You've got your actual neurological physical brain in your head, Then you've got your gut, which, people consider is your brain. And then also the heart, right? Which is to coin the term loosely, a brain in itself. Because when you operate from the heart, like you're saying, it's totally different results, right?
Yeah, when you're operating from the brain, let me tell you my view on this. When you're operating from the brain, you're operating from scarcity, from fear, and from programming imposed by society or by your upbringing, right? When you're operating from the gut, that's your intuition. You just know, right? When you're operating from the heart, you're operating with love, with understanding, and you can achieve more, right? And you feel like you're balanced because it's who you are deep inside. Because I do believe all of us were born pure, curious, courageous, and loving.
Correct. Yeah. And, we can see that in our education, right? Everything is all about the intellect. Everything is all about the mind. And, I've met some monks that say the mind is what causes the separation between, consciousness. The moment you insert the mind, it becomes, you know, whole different world. You've set this sort of, limitation on what is exponential, right? Yeah. And, we can see it in our schooling system, in work, in the trophies that are awarded, for things that you do intellectually. And, it's only if you get into the arts, then you're operating from a different, hemisphere of the brain, but also you're operating from intuition and, from your heart as well, right? Because art like music, paintings, things like that, those have feelings encompassed in the work that you do. But then people who might not be in art, they might be in a very different field where they're constantly using, their intellectual capacity. Then again, it produces very different results. You'll get a very different world than if you're operating from your heart or your gut. Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. And you know what? Remember, I was talking about programming.
Yeah.
That's the programming, right? Now, let me take my example. My background is I'm a master. I have a master degree in computer science, right? So I was working in that world, like you operate from your brain because you have to, right? However, I was able to integrate my gut and my heart. How? When I was solving problems, I just knew, right? I listened to my intuition. The intuition comes from knowledge and from being connected to the higher power and with yourself, right? I also integrated my heart because I knew as a leader, there is a difference between leader and manager. As a leader, you are there to help people grow and develop, right? Now, in the education system, unfortunately, right, it is what it is. I have kids, and it's funny because they are telling me that, right? Maybe because they are my kids and I'm talking to them, but they are telling me this is so wrong and not right. How we are being taught and how we are being I don't know. They're getting designations, right? Awards, and they're like, this is nothing. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean nothing to me, right? Because it doesn't come from the place that they want. So we have, I wish more people will get together so we can make a bigger change, right?
And how did you make that switch from computer science to what you're doing now?
Um, you know what? I always had it in me. When I went to university, in the same campus was the University of Psychology, and I was drooling over it. So I kind of started as a hobby. I studied psychology, spirituality, and everything in between since I was in my 20s. And, I reached a point in my life where I love computers, right? I'm still a geek at heart.
Yeah.
However, I cannot operate in that world, right? Um, in the corporate world, that to me, it's mostly based on, how do I say it? On power games, right? And to get ahead
Yeah.
at the expense of people at times, right? So this is when I made the decision, you know what, I can't.
It's
I
based on
can
the
make
ego.
a, I'm sorry?
It's based on the ego.
yeah, I couldn't operate. And I saw that when I was trying to make a difference, right, to help people reach to their heart, it wasn't well, right? It wasn't received well. And also, when you're working in my field as a healer, you can, there is another kind of impact that you're making, right? When you see that person that comes to you, and one day, in the beginning, I was surprised because I was seeing them transform, and I was asking them, "Are you wearing makeup, or I don't know, did you get a haircut?" No, something finally clicked in them, and they were looking different, right? So when you help one person, not only you help that person live a better life, but you help everyone around that person, right? So it's a domino effect. And when you put all this into balance, I think the choice is obvious.
Gotta know. And I fully agree with you. For example, myself, with my day job, I'm involved in the finance world. And, finance for me, it's something I'm good at. But again, everyone else wins in finance. Personally, I don't grow again, just because it's my wavelength. But if in art, like, when I do the podcasting, when I do the music, it's empowerment on both sides for me, for the guest, and it feels in sync. And, without even thinking of, money or fame or anything like that, even if there is no money or no fame, I'm fully empowered, and, the guest is empowered. And that's the notification, that's the signal that you're aligned with, what you're meant to be doing, whether you call it your soul, your heart, or your gut. That's the passion right there.
Yeah, you know how they say it, like stressing is when you're doing something that you don't enjoy, working hard on something that you don't enjoy, and passion is working hard and at something that you enjoy, right? So I guess that kind of summarizes what you're saying. When you feel that passion and that drive, when you wake up in the morning and you are like, yes, let's do this, right? That's
Yeah.
when you operate from your heart and alignment.
Yeah, and it's very, like I'm reminded of when I go on vacation, it's very easy to wake up at, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning, right? But when you're on the grind for the 9 to 5, it might not be as easy. But if you're involved in work, which is your passion, you really can't sleep because you're so excited to wake up the next day and, do what it is that you're meant to do. And that's a very strong signal. With the people that you help, do you see patterns that are similar when they come to you? And they might come to you with different problems that they want solved because they're coming from different backgrounds and situations. But are you able to see common patterns with these people?
Yes, I am. And that's a good question. Um, as we know, people that come to me as a healer, they come because they have a symptom, right? That's a symptom. And um, you know what? Usually people are discouraged because they tried so many things, right? And therapy and other modalities, and it didn't work. That's one. And people don't know themselves. I think it boils down with not knowing themselves and believing in themselves, right? And why is that? Because of trauma. We all experience trauma, bigger or smaller, right?
Yeah.
If we don't deal with the trauma, and that might be because we don't have the resources, we are not ready, there are different reasons for not doing that, that will follow us over and over in life. So it's like being the same movie with different actors, right? Because that's the subconscious mind trying to resolve the trauma.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And trauma is good, right? In the sense that, I mean, it's not good that it happens, but it's good in the sense that it teaches you adversity. It teaches you life lessons. And I often think that without trauma, we cannot know, what is happiness or, what is positivity. And, I liken it to a child. A child, is born, they're happy and they don't know they're happy. So then, do they really know the feeling of happiness? It's only once you know sadness, you know the opposite, that you can appreciate happiness, right? So, like you're saying, people come from trauma, and also people are brought up, especially in a first world country, trying to avoid adversity. They're not really taught adversity, right? And we see people in a third world country, by contrast, they grow up with adversity because, their current political situation or, infrastructure might not allow them, certain freedoms or, you know, access to programs and medicine, etc., like we have
Yeah.
in the first world.
Yeah. Um, you're absolutely right. We wouldn't know light without the dark, right? Happiness without the suffering. Also, having trauma in your life, I think when you start healing and or when you're healed, right, you develop empathy, right? Maybe a bigger empathy for other people. And you understand that everyone is carrying something in their heart, right? And I think that's helping you to operate from that heart place of understanding, compassion, and love. Obviously, practicing boundaries as well.
Correct, yeah. So when people come to you and you sense, trauma, uh, are you looking to fix the trauma or make them aware of the trauma? Because, fixing trauma can take a lifetime, right? Unless you do things like, which you're well versed at, such as, maybe hypnotherapy, things like that, you can, certainly bypass certain cases of trauma, right? What is your strategy with something like that? Do you fix the trauma or do you make them aware of it as you go alongside with other solutions?
I do believe in fixing, right? I do believe in going after the root cause and fixing it. I don't believe in band-aids. However, that person needs to be ready, right? To heal. And healing involves the courage, vulnerability, and work, right? So to answer your question, I fix the trauma. I bring it into their awareness. I help them see it, and I help them heal it. Um, it depends on the modality, right? At times, trauma can take a lifetime, as you said, but with the right modalities and then the right approach, it's a matter of months, right? So the work that I'm doing, if the person is ready and willing to put in the work, it takes months. And I'm integrating, as you said, hypnotherapy with NLP, with energy healing, because I do believe that we are all formed of energy, right? So I help unblock and redirect the energy in the body and balance the energy as well. So
Got
in
it.
a nutshell, I kind of combine science with energy spirituality, right? And that brings me, that allows me to have a multitude of tools that I can integrate to help someone heal.
And when you say you want people to be willing to change, what does that mean? Does that mean they have to be aware of their situation? Do they have to be open-minded? Do they have to submit to certain things?
They have to, as you're healing, it's a journey, right? You cannot expect, I don't know, I'm going to go for hypnosis and I'm going to wake up or like Brad Pitt, right? It doesn't work like this. And as you're going on a healing journey, at times you encounter resistance because it's unfamiliar, right? Because
Yep.
you're healing, it's you're becoming a new person, and people needs to be aware of this and also be ready to keep pushing forward, right? Because it takes time to create new neural pathways in your brain. It takes time to actually integrate new habits, new way of being, right? So that person is to be consistent in their efforts. I'm there by themselves, right?
Yep.
However, they are the ones that are doing the work and responsible for the results.
And that's something that we're so lucky to have, right? Is neuroplasticity. I was watching something recently where a psychiatrist or psychologist was saying up until very recently, we didn't know that the brain had neuroplasticity. We thought that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, up until 25 years old, whatever was developed, that was the be all and end all of it. But now, with recent experimentation discoveries, we found out that it's not true, right? Right up until an old age, if you keep conditioning your brain, you can actually, develop neuroplasticity, which means changes the neurons, right? Rewire them and form new habits. And this is done through repetition and conditioning. Yeah.
That's correct. And hypnosis, it's so helpful in this, right? Along with affirmations, along with visualizations, along with at the end of the day making a change to be someone else, making a decision, sorry, to be someone else, right? So one of the easiest way to make a change in your life, just start acting as that person that you want to become.
And you're also a transformation coach, and this is where transformation comes in because if someone's coming to you and they want to make this change, they really want to do something that's drastically different, 180 degrees from
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing right now. So this could be, say for example, you have an issue with, say, smoking. You don't want to become a smoker, right? That's a 180-degree switch. If you're not, a person who's, financially prudent, you want to learn about money, then again, you're making that switch to where you become a person that's, very fiduciary and the game of, money and finance. What are your thoughts on transformation? Is it easy? Can it be instant? Is there a lot of work required? If you can share some thoughts on that.
Sure. Transformation is fun, if you ask me, right? It's a journey, and it is what you make it. Um, I propose to make transformation fun and to go on that journey from a place of curiosity. I don't see it as hard. I don't see it as anything along those lines. Can it be challenging at times? Yeah, but that's a sign that you're going on the right direction. So celebrate.
Okay.
And
And
I'm
go ahead.
sorry, you're talking about smoking, right? So, for example, if someone comes to me, I want to quit smoking. Smoking is a symptom, right? And that symptom is based on some experiences, some habits, some beliefs, right? So I don't just fix the smoking, I fix the root cause, right? I'm going back and fixing everything else. And at times I don't even have to fix the smoking because by changing everything else, beliefs, habits, and so on, right? That person doesn't want to smoke anymore.
Got it. Because you've changed the root cause and the previous root cause, the result was
That's
smoking.
correct.
If you change the root
Yep.
cause to something else, the result will be different, right?
Yep.
And when you do transformation, if you don't have the skills to be the person you want to be, if you don't have the mindset, if you don't have the motivation, if you don't have the support group, what are some of the advice centers that you might give people, if they want to transform to something, very drastically different from who they are now? What does that journey
Re-
look?
It comes with first awareness of where you are and where do you want to go, right? And there are so many books and resources and on available on internet, right? Podcasts. Um, you just start digging and see what resonates with you. How I did it, I read everything, and then I made my own decisions and also set goals, right?
Yeah.
Short term, long term. They're so important to keep yourself on track and keep pushing, keep going. You can do it.
No, I like that you say it's a journey, and then the journey has to start also with, how you say curiosity, right? Because if you're making it fun, you don't want this to be some sort of, school assignment, right? Which is very dry. This is
Mm,
your life we're talking about, right? And the goal of transforming is, you want to become this person because you actually want to, right? No one's forcing you. This is not, from any sort of, early on preconditioning. This is a conscious decision you made. Maybe you've hit rock bottom, you've hit the wall, and you're like, okay, now I really have to change this habit or belief, the character that I am, because I have no choice. Or maybe you do have a choice, and you're leveraging off that as well, right? and you're going the full 180 degrees. And the journey, will have obstacles and pain points, but if you're stemming from curiosity and a place of fun, just like with passion, it'll make all of those things more manageable, right?
Beautiful. Yes.
Got it. Any downsides that happen? Like, have you seen when people have transformed, or anything to be aware of, or any caveats?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can say it's a downside. How do I say it? When you transform and you become the person that you are meant to be and you deserve to be, and you live the life that you want to live, right?
Yeah.
What happens? People that are not aligned with the new you, right?
Yeah.
Might disappear from your life.
Correct. Yeah.
Because initially when you connected with those people, you were on another level, right? Energetic and like values and so on, right? Now, it's okay because everyone can be in our lives for a season or for so. Doesn't mean that we don't love them. Doesn't mean that the love is not there. It means that we don't align anymore, right? And when those people exit our lives, then new people are coming that are aligned with who we are, right? So
Yeah.
the only thing that people need to be aware of.
Got it. And again, yeah, downside meaning, your external environment, right? So you might lose family members, you might lose friends, you might lose old routines, but that's the price for the new person that you want to be. And like you're saying, friends, family, they might come into your life for certain seasons to teach you, certain lessons. I know they're also welcome to come along the journey with you, but it's not practical for everyone. And I remember someone who had gone through a very severe transformation, had, radically changed his lifestyle. And I asked him about it because he had lost friends and family. And he did gain, new friends as well. But he also said that, because he was speaking about his high school friends and his elementary friends, which again, he had drastically changed from them. He had said, they'll always, they may not necessarily be in my life, but they'll always be in my heart, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes you don't have to, have a severe cutoff. They can maybe be sort of in the back burner, or again, always keep them present in your heart, right? Like the memories, and if they call, you can always still speak to them, right? Doesn't mean you have to cut them off or anything.
No, of course, that's the worst case scenario, right? You ask me what might happen.
Yeah, exactly. And then with the hypnotherapy work that you do, I've always been interested in this. So, we have traditional, psychology, cognitive behavior therapy, certain programs, things like that. I've seen, people like Tony Robbins use hypnotherapy, and they might cure an ailment in seconds, whereas, CBT might have taken months or maybe years, right? Sitting, talking to someone, trying to get down to the root cause. But then here comes hypnosis, and boom, with the blink of an eye, the person is transformed. And we've seen, Tony Robbins cure people from stuttering and things like that. What are your thoughts on those modalities, hypnotherapy versus, traditional counseling with a therapist where, you're sitting one-on-one and it takes time? You have some experience with that, like you can share?
Of course. It's a good question. And actually, I'm training CBT and so on, right? So um, it all comes to our mind. Our mind is 5% conscious mind and 95% unconscious mind, right? So conscious mind is talking to a therapist and trying to rationalize and go into the root cause, and that takes time because you're operating you're working with the 5% of the mind. The unconscious mind is like a holographic library of your life. All the memories are there. Everything that you said, that was said to you, even if you don't remember, right? Some are repressed memories. Now, the solution to the problem is in unconscious mind. And that's what hypnosis is doing. Hypnosis is bypassing the conscious mind and talking to the unconscious mind. That's why you can make changes. People need, there is, I don't know, hypnosis is presented funny at times in TV shows and so on. So hypnosis is not you're going to the therapist, laying down on the couch and wake up someone else, right? You are in control during a hypnosis session. You hear everything. Some suggestions, so if you don't agree with them, you disregard them, right? So you are in control. And hypnosis can feel like you don't feel a change in your state.
Yeah.
You feel like super relaxed, or some people are like, did I snore? Did I fall asleep? Right? So it's different for everyone. But that person is in control.
Got it. No, this is really good. I mean, if someone has really hit rock bottom and they're looking, to make a change in their life and they don't know how, I like, from what you're saying, the first step is find your alignment, right? Find your soul, you know, spend some time in isolation, because when you have other people around you, you're getting distracted, with their energy, with their needs, their wants, etc. Spend some time in meditation, isolation in your sanctuary, try to feel who you are, try to, know who you are, like you're saying, know thyself. And then, set aside an intention for transformation, and then, go seek out, modalities to get you to that, that end spot that you want, whether it's working with a coach like yourself or, books, podcasts, resources, things like that, and make the change. And don't be afraid that, if the snake can, shed its skin, you're leaving something behind, that it's for the betterment of something good, right, in the future that you're acquiring. So I really like that. And, thanks again for coming on the show and sharing your experience and thoughts with us. And if people want to get a hold of you and your work, where's the best place for them to find you?
First, thank you so much for the invite. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I do hope people will find value in this. And I can be contacted on the easiest way. It's on my website, and my website is ancauni.com.
AncaUni.com. Perfect. And I'll put that in the show notes as well. So thanks again for coming on the show, and I wish you well.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.